How would you like to be able to control the amount of curve on your golf ball via a very simple wrist adjustment that you can make at setup, which takes less than 2 seconds to incorporate into your routine? That might sound too good to be true, but once you understand how to make this very simple adjustment, your ability to draw or fade the ball at will become far easier than you ever imagined. And the simple adjustment that I'm talking about would be to understand how the height of the handle at setup would influence the club face's relationship to the path. Meaning, if I wanted to introduce more right to left curve on my shots as a right-handed golfer, more draw, I would set up with the handle much higher, where my arms and the club shaft almost form a straight line here at setup. This might look similar to how Bryson DeChambeau sets up, who's an avid drawer of the golf ball. And conversely, if I wanted to see more left to right curve on my golf shots as a right-handed golfer, more of a fade bias, I would tell you that you should set up with the handle much lower, a much greater angle between the arms and the club shaft. This setup here might look a little bit more like Keegan Bradley. That would help to open the club face to the shaft. This is a much misunderstood area of the game, not just by golfers, but by golf coaches who don't really understand how the coupling action of the wrist joint opens and closes the club face relative to the path. Let me show you exactly what I mean, and you can do this with me. If you have a golf club with you right now, I'd encourage you to pick it up and follow along. I'd like you to try this with me. If you don't have a club, that's okay. You can still follow along and give this a try next time you're on the range. The idea here is understanding that the motion of the wrists are coupled. What does that mean? Well, when I do one motion, it invokes another motion automatically. You may know from previous wrist videos that the more flexed a wrist is, the more we close the face. And the more extended the wrist is, the more we open the face. What doesn't get talked about as much from this down the line perspective is how the up and down motion of the wrist, this would be called ulnar deviation, and this would be called radial deviation. The up and down movement of the wrist, it doesn't get spoken about how that influences the other plane of motion, the opening and closing of the club. So if you have a club in your hand, I want you to take your normal grip, and then we're just going to stand straight up and down, and I'm going to do this to the front camera so you can see the influence on the club face as I move my wrists in certain ways. If I was to add more ulnar deviation, so that's the shaft working down, so the lead arm and the club are in more of a straight line here. Look at what's happened to the club face. It's closed quite significantly, and you'd see that if you follow the avatar on the screen from the hack motion. So let me put this into a position of where it says I have 0 ulnar deviation right now. And at that point in time, I have around 15, 16 degrees of lead wrist extension. I've spoken about that in previous videos. That's pretty standard. But if I was to raise the handle up, look what happens to the flexion of the wrist. It's now in 16 degrees of flex. That's a 30-degree change in that orientation of my wrist just by moving the shaft up. I didn't try to twist the shaft at all. So the higher your hands are, the more you raise the shaft up, the more you add flexion automatically, and the more you close the face relative to the path automatically. That's going to help you to curve the ball more from right to left. And as I said, the opposite's true. If I started again in that sort of 0 degrees of ulnar, so I get that pretty close to 0, you see how the extension number there is 19, 18 degrees, so pretty similar. Now if I move the shaft towards me by hinging my wrist up, again this is called radial deviation, increasing the angle between my lead arm and the shaft, look at the extension number there. It's jumped all the way up to 50 degrees. That's an enormous amount of club face opening. If you start to think about this somewhat logically, you may have seen some of these tricks used before. These are hacks that are used by good golfers all the time. They understand how the wrists work. If I wanted to hit the highest, softest lob shot around the green, you'll see golfers stand further from the ball and really lower the handle. This might be similar to how they'd hit a high bunker shot as well, because getting the handle down helps to open the club face. Equally, trying to hit a low punch shot might be associated with standing closer to the ball, raising the handle up, because we know that that's going to help to flight the golf ball down. You can use these simple and very effective tricks in your own setup to influence your ball flight. Let me hit a couple now and show you what that would look like, and how you can extend the feeling of the wrists, not just in your setup, but throughout the swing and certainly into the follow through, to ensure that you get the outcome that you're looking for. So as I said, very, very simple adjustment. Let's raise the handle up at setup and try to keep that sensation into the follow through of the ulnar deviation, the arms and the club being in a straight line for as long as possible. That from this front camera would look like the arms and the club are extended for the longest. If I did that, I would expect to be able to draw the ball very, very easily and even hook it if I wanted to. These would be the adjustments I would make to my setup if I wanted to make sure the ball curved from right to left. And then into the finish, as I mentioned, trying to hold that sensation of that curve. You see there that those extreme adjustments cause an extreme amount of curve. And as somebody who already curves the ball a little bit too much from right to left, I wouldn't want to be adding those pieces to my swing. For me, if anything, I would want to try the other route. I would want to take some of that right to left curve off by adding some of the alternative pieces that I mentioned to you, which would hopefully induce more of a fade feel and fade shot. For people who hook the golf ball excessively to the left, you could incorporate that lower handle position at setup, where I feel like the toe of the club is almost off the ground for me as I do that. Once again, this isn't just a setup change that I might want to feel. I could keep feeling that same lower handle, that radial deviation past the point of impact and into the follow through. So instead of having the handle long, raised and away from me, I would have the wrist more set, hinging upwards and looking quite different in the follow through. That would help to keep the face open, as mentioned previously, which would either A, reduce my propensity to hooking the golf ball, or for you it may even induce more of a fade or slice shot. Again, useful if you need to curve the ball from left to right. So let me go ahead and hit one of those. Lower the handle and then keep the feeling of the handle nice and low through impact and into the follow through. I know for me that that's a pretty straight shot. It hasn't curved much at all. It's had a tiny, tiny little bit of fade on it, which really was the idea. That's what I was supposed to do. Altering the club face's relationship to the swing path is ultimately what alters its curve through the air. How much raising up or lowering down of the handle that you need to do is very individual. It's very specific to your current swing, your current shot pattern and your needs. So experiment with different amounts of handle raising and handle lowering with all of your clubs to see what that does to your ball flight. I think it will add very quickly an element of control to the curve on your golf ball that you thought was only reserved for the best players in the world. So there's a very simple way you could adjust your setup and some of your in-swing feels to really change the way you shape your golf ball. This doesn't have to be complicated. The change at setup can be done in a matter of seconds and the influence on your ball flight can be immediate. If you enjoyed the video today, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. I'd also love you to get down into the comments and let me know if this helped you. This is a change that I use almost every day to help golfers manage their ball flight, but I find it's very often something that people have never heard of before. If this was new for you, get down in the comments, let me know how you got on when you gave this a try at the range. If you're looking for more individual help with your golf game, then a personalized online golf lesson could be just what you're looking for. I offer online lessons to golfers all over the world via the Skillist app, and I'll put a link down into the description for that. And if you're enjoying the content I'm putting out on this channel, you may want to consider supporting me further by joining the community and the YouTube membership. This gives you exclusive early access to all videos, as well as member-only video content and live streams where I'll answer your personalized questions directly. I'll put some details for that down in the description. You can check that out if that's of interest to you. And finally, I'd like to announce the Stack and Tilt practice day I'll be teaching with Andy Plummer is on Sunday, June the 8th at the Leatherhead Golf Club in London. If you're in town and interested in coming to spend the day with us, learning all about the Stack and Tilt system and having a roadmap for how to improve your game like never before, then please check out the website I'll put some details down in the description. There's very limited spaces available. If you'd like to come and spend the day practicing with Andy and myself, I would absolutely love to see you there. If the information I shared today was new to you about how you can use your wrist angles to change the curve on your golf ball, then I'd encourage you to go and watch this video next. This is the umbrella drill, a drill I use on a daily basis to help golfers gain more club face control than they ever thought possible.